Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of our colors and the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets did glare, the bombs bursting in air, give proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you. Please be seated. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this memorable occasion in the lives of our George Mason High School seniors. We extend an especially warm welcome to the friends and families of our seniors. We know that some of you have traveled great distances to be with us this evening. We thank you. I am joined on stage by George Mason valedictory scholars and speakers, Megan Butler and Annie Parnell. We are greatly honored by the presence and participation of Dr. Stephen Churchill. Dr. Churchill is a professor of evolutionary anthropology at Duke University and a 1977 George Mason alum. I wish to welcome you most especially, Dr. Churchill. Also joining us on stage are Senior Class President Andrea Delau, Senior Class Vice President Brooke Meinhardt, Senior Class Secretary Megan Butler, Senior Class Treasurer Sydney Marple, Superintendent Dr. Peter Noonan, Assistant Superintendent Miss Lisa High, School Board Chair Mr. Lawrence Webb, Mayor of Falls Church City David Tarter, Director of Special Education and Student Services Miss Elizabeth Germer, Director of Counseling Miss Amy Kurjanowicz, Senior class advisors, Mr. William Snyder and Mr. Brad McAdam. Assistant principals, Dr. Kevin Clark and Mr. Dave Sorensis. Dean of Students, Ms. Shanna Curtis. School counselors, Ms. Valerie Chesley and Ms. Alana Reyes. Band director, Ms. Mary Jo West. And, as you just heard, the George Mason Wind Ensemble. I now invite Class Vice President Brooke Meinhardt to come forward and welcome you on behalf of her fellow seniors.
Hello, my name is Brooke Meinhardt, and I would like to welcome friends, family, teachers, administrators, honored guests, and fellow graduates to the commencement ceremony of George Mason High School's class of 2017. On behalf of our class, I would like to thank parents for their constant love and support, teachers for their excellent guidance, and friends for always being there throughout our high school years. Also, a big thank you to our class sponsors, Mr. Snyder and Mr. McAdam. Finally, I would like to congratulate the class of 2017 on all their accomplishments over our 5 years of high school and wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. It is now my sincere pleasure to introduce the school board chair, Mr. Lawrence Webb, who will bring greetings from the school board.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Falls Church City School Board, I would like to congratulate the class of 2017 on all that you have done to reach this very important day in your life. I also want to thank the faculty, staff, administration for all the hard work that you have done over the 4 years working with many of these students to prepare them for this day as they begin that next major step in their life. Many of you who are preparing to go off to college next year, be it four-year community college, trade, you all are making big steps. In the world that we live in today, we are looking to you to be the next leaders who take us into the next century. I know that all of you are feeling very excited today, can't wait until you're able to walk across this stage and put that diploma in your hand. Just give us a few minutes, we're going to get you to that point. But first I want to say to the parents, guardians, friends, you played an important role in this as well. If not for you waking them up in the morning early, getting them ready to go off to school in the morning, these students wouldn't be able to be here ready to become graduates of the class of 2017. So I thank you all as well, because you all have put in just as much work in many cases as these students have. Graduates, enjoy your day, and I look forward to seeing you and all that you're able to do in the future when you come back to Falls Church and George Mason High School to share with other students. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, families, friends, graduates. My name is Peter Noonan, and I'm the new superintendent here in the City of Falls Church, and it's a pleasure to be here to congratulate all of you today. Part of my role today is I get to recognize the students pursuing the IB Diploma and this year's George Mason Scholars and Valedictory Scholars. The International Baccalaureate, or IB Diploma, is awarded to students who have elected to pursue the most rigorous course of study at George Mason High School. These students took 7 or more college-level courses, completed a philosophy course called Theory of Knowledge, and wrote an extended essay on a topic of their choice. Further, they documented numerous extracurricular activities, including creative endeavors, their participation in clubs, organizations, sports, and their service learning efforts throughout the community. The award of the IB Diploma will be based on the successful completion of all of these IB Diploma requirements and grades that are earned on the IB exam or exams. This year, there are 40 students receiving recognition as IB Diploma candidates. They are wearing gold medallions with red and black neck ribbon to signify their achievement in the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program. May the candidates please stand for recognition at this time. Thank you. The George Mason Scholar Award recognizes the outstanding academic achievement of our graduating seniors. This award is presented to students who have completed a high school program, which includes a minimum of 25 credits, a cumulative grade point average of 3.85 or higher, and the following courses taken for letter grades: 4 years of social studies, 4 years of college preparatory mathematics, 3 years of foreign language, 2 years or 4 years of 2 different languages, 3 years of laboratory science, and international baccalaureate courses in 2 disciplines. This year, there are 70 students receiving this award. They're wearing silver medallions this evening to signify their outstanding academic achievement. May the recipients of the George Mason Scholar Award please stand at this time for recognition. Finally, we recognize 51 students tonight that have earned the distinction of being named George Mason Valedictory Scholars by maintaining a cumulative grade point average of 4.0 or better throughout their entire 4 years in high school. They're wearing gold medallions this evening to signify their outstanding academic achievement. May the recipients of the George Mason Valedictory Scholar Award please stand for recognition at this time. Thank you.
We did it, we did it, we did it, yay. Lo hicimos, we did it. The words of Dora the Explorer have never been more relatable than they are now. As cheesy as it sounds, today is really the day that our lives will forever change. For 13 years, we've been going through the cycle of 8 hours of school, 8 hours of after-school activities and homework, and hopefully 8 hours of sleep. We've persevered through all the hours of homework, the hours of those IOCs, IOPs, FOAs, WTs, IAs, EEs, and SOLs. The hours of traveling on a bus to an away game, the hours of sports practice or play rehearsal, the hours of building the perfect robot, the hours of not sleeping when you should be, the hours of investing in our futures. In the past 13 years, we've learned some of the most valuable life lessons we'll ever know, and we've truly grown up. Some of us have experienced those years in a various of different countries and have brought a diverse culture to Mason. Some of us have only experienced the changing schools of Falls Church City, where only the smell of mold in the hallways has followed us all the way from Mount Daniel to Mason. We all ended up sitting here today, though, and undoubtedly, and hopefully, the most memorable out of those last 13 years have been the ones spent here at Mason. It goes without saying that we are a special school because Mason students aren't like any other students, especially those of the class of 2017. We were the last students to be here in 8th grade. We were the last class to experience Mason without laptops. We were the last class to write our names on the wall. We were the last seniors to have TOK with Mr. Scharf. We've overcome challenges together, from being able to eat at supersonic speeds during the shortened lunches, to learning to live without Netflix on the school laptops, to surviving the invasion of geese in the senior courtyard. We've done it all. We've broken records, and there's no doubt that any other class will be able to measure up to the accomplishments of our grade. From beating the freshmen in Spirit Points 8th grade year, to demolishing the seniors in Powder Puff last year, the students of the class of 2017 have always been on top. The sports teams we've been a part of have won state titles. Our robotics team went to Worlds twice. Cappies was named for best team the past 2 years. Cyber Patriots has advanced to regional levels, and the yearbook, the lasso, and 9 Musives have won a multitude of Columbia Press Awards. Our classmates were a part of it all. However, I haven't yet mentioned one of the most important parts of the class of 2017, which is the bonds we formed. We've made lifelong connections with our friends, and most importantly, we know the names of basically everyone in our grade. So, when we see Sean Rodock landing on the moon, Lydia Gomper singing on Broadway, Nikki Benya becoming Twitter famous, Essence Bailey's designs walking down the New York Fashion Week runways, or Carter Finley making headlines with some new technology thing none of us actually understand, we will tell our future family and friends, hey, I went to high school with them, I knew them, and on June 21st, 2017, we stood side by side in DAR Constitution Hall. The experiences we've had together are some that I hope we'll never forget. I hope there will always be a special place in your heart for GMHS, and I hope that you've soaked in every second of your time here, because despite being ready to get out of here forever, because yes, 5 years of high school is just too much for us, you're going to look back and think how it went by too quickly, and soon realize how much being a Mustang has shaped you. So thank you to our parents who moved to this city just for the schools. Thank you to our teachers who have truly cared for us and wanted us to succeed. And thank you to the class of 2017 for making our time here one to never forget. I honestly can't wait to see what the future brings all of us, because I know every single one of us might hit some bumps along the way, but in the end, we'll be true students of the IB Learner Profile. But for now, just enjoy the moment and realize that we did it.
All right, hi. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Annie. I've lived in Falls Church since I was 5 at the top of the hill on Poplar Drive. I'm an IB diploma candidate, and I'm incredibly honored to be standing in front of you today. As far as I'm concerned, though, this isn't about me or about any of the other speakers on this stage. It's about us. By now, all of us probably feel like we're over this whole high school thing. We're making it out. We finally finished our CAS hours and our exams, and we've been given more copies of This Is Water and Oh, the Places You'll Go than we can count. All of us probably have experienced adults, whether they're parents or teachers or random family friends in Facebook comments, who are telling us to cherish these moments and these people around us. Despite that, I don't know about all of you, but for me, those pieces of advice have been lost in a whirlpool of summer plans and dorm assignments and Netflix queues and any number of other things that all seem much more pressing. But right now, in front of all of you, I'm going to make the case that they're not. Falls Church, and by extension, George Mason, is a remarkably unique community. US News says that this is one of the best schools both in Virginia and the country, that we're a gold medal school with high test scores and levels of proficiency in English and mathematics. Those are great things, and they point to the fact that we have all been extremely lucky to be able to be a part of this community, to have been given the opportunities that we have. But that's not what makes this place so special. In reality, what makes Mason and Falls Church unique are the things that seem forgettable. Things like being able to walk to Starbucks and Mike's Deli after school, or freezing your extremities off watching a football game on the Mustangs field. Like knowing everyone in our class and their whole families since our first days at Mount Daniel or TJ, or staying in touch when your friends move because either they're 10 minutes away or they always come back after a couple years. Like being able to make friends who have lived in Egypt or Chile or China, or who have parents who work at the White House or in Congress. To us, these things seem normal. They're part of our lives just as much as our classes and our activities have always been. Whether you've been at Mason for 1 year or for 12, you've been part of a community of thinkers and leaders, one that's sheltered and nourished generations of students just like us. And even though having the same friends since kindergarten might mean we all have to get out a little more, not having to worry about being split up and sent off into different directions has always been an accepted part of our reality, until now. I know, that sounds terrifying. It sounds like the tagline of a movie preview narrated by some guy with a deep voice, and Mark Wahlberg and Vin Diesel are running towards each other on the screen, and things are crashing, everything's exploding. But it's kind of true. Things are changing for all of us. Our world as we know it is exploding. It's expanding too. We're heading out into the rest of the universe, and whether that's 20 minutes away in Fairfax or 2,000 miles away in Canada, we're all taking Mason with us. We'll remember how things were here, however they are there, and knowing us, we'll still have group chats and Snapchat streaks and inside jokes with all of our close friends from back home. But we won't have all of those little idiosyncrasies that have made up such a big part of our experiences here. So today, as we say goodbye to Mason, I hope you remember those details that fill the story of our time together. I hope, as you look around the room, that you pick out which parents in the audience gave out the best candy on Halloween, and which were your Little League coaches, and carpool buddies, and field trip volunteers. I hope you look at your friends and remember how you met them at recess, or in community center dance classes, or simply because they live right next door. I hope, as we walk across the stage, that we all keep those things in mind, that we remember that we've grown into the people we are today because of them, and because of each other. I know I will. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to recognize 4 of my colleagues who are serving as faculty marshals. They led our distinguished faculty into the hall this evening. We honor Ms. Eleanor Hawksworth, a nominee for the 2017 Washington Post Outstanding Teacher of the Year Award. We would also like to honor Mr. John Ballou, or as I affectionately refer to as the man, the myth, the legend, and founder of our robotics program, who is retiring after 36 years. Ms. Amy Kurjanowicz, the heart of George Mason, and our Director of Counseling, who is retiring after 22 years. And Mr. Jamie Scharf, TOK aficionado, and its academic Scholastic Bowl guru, who is retiring after 17 years of service. We ask them to please stand and be recognized for their incredible service to these seniors and to many other Mustangs before them. I now invite Class Treasurer Sydney Marple to come forward for the presentation of the class gift.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The class of 2017 would like to provide the George Mason High School community with a few tokens of our appreciation for all that it has done for us. These gifts include a deluxe gas grill for future seniors to use and enjoy in the senior courtyard, which they already have, 2 new water fountains with water bottle filling capabilities, and a donation to the Falls Church Homeless Shelter, an organization that many of us were able to volunteer for this year. We appreciate this opportunity to give back in a small way for the many benefits Falls Church City Schools have provided us. Thank you.
The commencement speaker for tonight's ceremony is Stephen E. Churchill, a human paleontologist and George Mason alum of 1977. Dr. Churchill is a friend of our classmate Sean Rodock's family. He received his bachelor's degree from Virginia Tech in 1981 in human paleontology and then received his master's degree in 1989 and his PhD in 1994, both from the University of New Mexico. Currently, Dr. Churchill is a professor of evolutionary anthropology at Duke University. He studies morphological and behavioral adaptation in archaic and modern humans of the Middle and Late Pleistocene. Dr. Churchill was recently part of a group who discovered a new species of Homo-like Australopith in South Africa called Australopithecus sediba. We are pleased to welcome Dr. Churchill as the class of 2017's graduation speaker.
Thank you very much, Megan. We purposely make those names hard to basically trip people up. As you heard, it's been almost 40 years to the day since I walked across the stage at George Mason and got my diploma, and I can't tell you how honored and how pleased I am to be here today to address the class of 2017. And as a member of the class of 1977, I can say as pretty much a fact that graduating classes that graduate in years that end in 7 are absolutely the best graduating classes. Am I right? Am I right? Okay, pander to graduating class, check. That done? Look, I've been a college professor for 25 years, and I've heard a lot of commencement addresses. And I know that this is the point at which I'm supposed to exhort you to do incredible things with your life. Shoot for the stars. You can do anything you set your mind to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I want to tell you about a man named Godfrey Bolloy. I met Godfrey about 15 years ago when I was looking for fossils in a very remote corner of South Africa called the Pafuri Triangle. And Godfrey lived in a little village up there called Makuleke. And when I went to visit Godfrey, I found that this was a guy who had almost nothing. He lived in a tiny plaster house with his mother. The house had a dirt floor. There was no electricity. The Makuleke village doesn't even have running water. For water, you've got to take, milk jugs about a half a mile to a nearby lake and worry that the crocodiles in the lake don't get you while you're filling the water bottles up. And Godfrey had no appreciable source of income, so much so that I used to wonder how he even made it. But the thing about Godfrey was he had this incredible positive energy. He was upbeat about everything. He, I have to say, was the most genuinely happiest person that I have ever met. That's not to say he was always happy, but he just had a basic happiness about him. And the funny thing is, in my business, you meet a lot of wealthy people. There are a lot of really rich donors who support our research and who like to come and see the fossils. And I have met some of the very richest people on this planet. And I can tell you that they are no happier than you or I. And I can tell you also that while their problems might be different than your problems and my problems, they have just as many problems as we have. Now, I know you're probably thinking that where I'm going with this is I'm going to drag out the old saw that money can't buy happiness. And okay, that's a little piece of the story, I admit it, but that's not really where I'm going. If having great stuff makes you happy, if having a posh lifestyle, is what you want, by all means go for it. But if you think that having those things in and of themselves are going to make you happy, or if you think that money is going to prevent you from having problems, you're going to be disappointed in life. But that's not really where I'm going anyway. What I want to do is I want to look at the flip side of that and basically say, well, if money doesn't buy happiness, what does buy happiness? Where does happiness come from? And how is it that this guy with effectively nothing who lives in a remote village in South Africa seems to have so much of it? And what can we learn from that? And as I got to know Godfrey, I began to realize that he had a profound purpose in life. He was intensely passionate about African wildlife, about the elephants and rhinos and African buffalo. And he knew that in that corner of South Africa, people were so poor that poaching was a huge problem, and these animals were enormously endangered. And so it was Godfrey's mission to do something about that. So he could often be found in neighboring villages talking to anybody who would listen about the need for conservation and how the people there would actually benefit from conserving rather than consuming the local wildlife. And this was a guy who really, he had no money. But whenever he got a little bit of money, he would save some of it. And whenever he could, he was buying books to put in the local village schools about African wildlife and African ecology. And although it was a real long shot for him because it required a lot of coursework and fees and getting permits and that kind of thing, his dream was to become a game ranger in the Pafuri Triangle so that he could directly do something about protecting the wildlife up there. And the thing is, that sense of purpose is what gave meaning to Godfrey's life. It's what articulated his life with his community and with his world. And I think that's where his profound sense of happiness came from. Every day he got up and he felt like he was making a difference, no matter how small. So I'm not here to exhort you to reach for the stars, but I am here to exhort you to look within yourself and to ask yourself, what is it that gives my life meaning? It's not always easy to answer that question, but what is it that gives me a sense of purpose? And it's different for everybody. For one person, it might be helping others. For somebody else, it might be creating something like music or art. For somebody else, it may be discovering something or learning something. Doesn't matter what it is. What you need to do is nurture it, feed it every day, let it grow, engage with it, and I guarantee you that happiness will find you. And this is the lesson that Godfrey has to teach us. Now, before I relinquish the podium, I want to say a little bit about our alma mater. That's right, our alma mater. Because this morning, George Mason was your high school, but forever after, it will be your alma mater. And I know that graduation is a bittersweet experience. You know, it's great because we're celebrating your accomplishment. We're celebrating with excitement the road ahead of you. But at the same time, this is a time where you have to say goodbye to people whose paths in life are taking them in a different direction from you. In my own case, I have to admit, I was eager to move on. And I was really kind of eager to see Falls Church in the rearview mirror. But I also knew that it was going to be sad to say goodbye to a lot of really, really great friends that I made here. But what I can tell you from 40 years out, I can't believe it's been 40 years. When you have a robotics professor who taught for 36 years and he still didn't overlap with me, really, I'm as old as the fossils I study, okay? I'll admit it. I'll admit it. But the perspective from 40 years out, I can tell you that you will leave Mason, but Mason will never leave you. And by Mason, I mean this community which is in this auditorium today. In my case, I was the son of a Foreign Service officer, and my brothers and sister and I were born all around the world. But as fate would have it, we all graduated from Mason. And my very best friend in the world, my lifelong friend, was on that stage with me up at George Mason 40 years ago when we got our diplomas. And today one of his daughters sits in the audience among you. After a disastrous first marriage, I finally got smart and I married a woman who graduated from George Mason. Thank you. Class of 1980. She asked me, she said, when's my invitation to speak going to come? And I said, 3 years from now when you've been out for 40 years. That's pretty much the way it works, right? And I've really stayed in touch with a lot of people who meant something to me in Mason through the miracle of social media. So again, you're going to leave Mason, but Mason will never leave you. So as you make your goodbyes over the next days and weeks, I want you to remember that these incredible relationships that you've developed, these strong, important friendships, they're not ending, they're just changing. And so with that, I say congratulations, class of 2017. Godspeed, and be happy. Thank you.
Now the fun starts. It is now my distinct pleasure to invite my colleagues, Ms. Kurjanowicz, Director of Counseling, Mr. McAdam, Mr. Snyder, Senior Class Advisors, Ms. Chesley and Ms. Reyes, Counselors, to join me in presenting the diplomas to the Class of 2017.
Megan Ellen Butler. Jesusa Mariel Andrea Velez Delau. Sydney Lauren Marple. Brooke Meinhardt. Anna Vanessa Parnell. Taya Jeanette Abbracciamento. Anna C. Abel. Ima Sayeda Ahmed. Lisette Giselle Amaya. Connor Frederick Anderson. Valentina Enfengerianova. Dariana Vitalia Antizana Leonzo. Sarada Arancharatorn. Micah Clayton Eyre. Rachel Seung Young Beck. Essence Elaine Bailey. Noah Parker Bear. Nicole Catherine Benya. Elliot Biller. Kenya Balin Marie Bliss. Michaela Lee Babitsky. Camille Alejandra Borja. Darius Alexander Boston. Claire Elise Boyle. Jacob Tristan Brady. Justin Emmanuel Britton. Jacob Tyler Brown. Jean Keith Butterfield. Yosari Yohani Caceres. Ryan Lewis Calabrese. John Kalen Campbell. Lauren Marie Capozzi. Peter Edward Carr. Julianne Brooke Carter. Gabriela Castaneda Guzman. Alice Maria Castillo. Presenting her diploma is school board member and her father, Justin Castillo. Jody Amber Chung. Eleanor Lake Christensen. Jane Elizabeth Christensen. Marion Bess Clark. Brendan Travis Collins. Andrew Michael Connolly. Anna Catherine Knoll. Candida Jennifer Contreras Guevara. Andrew Strathern Colson. Rebecca Crouch. Esther Danye. Brandon Treat Huang Dang. Tina Dow. John Barrett Deal. Manon Dees. Nari Amila Sebia John. Conway Tehan Dodge III. Maeve Rahel Donnelly. Anna Camille Dubrow. Sarah Jane Edwards. Ahmed Johia El Zamzami. Carter Crawford Fenley. James Augustine Ferguson Jr. Oscar Nicholas Ferrara III. John Patrick Fletchell. Ruth Noemi Flores.
Eduardo Jose Gallo. Timothy George Gilmore. John Robert Goggin. Lydia Allison Gomper. Presenting her diploma is her uncle and Falls Church City Mayor David Charter. Lydia Malin Gorman. Aiden Arthur Graffam. Dustin Anthony Green. Presenting his diploma is his father and George Mason High School teacher, Mr. Tony Green. Evelyn Margaret Gruen. Liliane Gilbo. Hermela Katahun Hyla Mariam. Jacob Montgomery Hance. Charles Martin Hanson IV. Mosem Hawk. Lex Harvey. Sapphire Renee Heck. Walker Ennis Hegedorn. Ryan Connor Henderson. Sally Jeanette Hernandez. Sienna Monet Hins. Hannah Frances Hiscott. Stephen Donald Hoig. Lucy Marshall Hoke. Julia Wells Howard. Nicola Illich. Adele Ann Ingeman. Megan Elizabeth Jenkins. Alexandra Christine Jepson. Justin Joseph Carr. Catherine Margaret Karstens. Ethan Andrew Keck. Reed Jenyon Hodja Kellett. Callie McCoy Kemp. Usman Parwez Khan. Manal Khawaja. Yoo Hyung Kim. Shanley Francesca Kirk. Aaron Micah Klein. Darren Kukuslu. Allison Lee Reich. You did it, man. Connor Liam Lafferty. Zachary Gabriel Lang. Ian Alexander Leach. Jules Kenneth Marks Levy. Bowei Lin. Patrick Kayabyab Lin. Eric Scott Lowry. Sarah Elizabeth Lubno. Lanson Lee. Akihira Kevin Maher. Marvin Gustavo Manajo Contreras. Thank you. Riley Brophy Marcus. Neil Edward Marshall. David Andrew Martinez. Mary Elizabeth McGuire. Brogan Patrick Meehan. Hana Yilkal Mangesha. Christian Michelli. Ruth Highland Miller. Taylor K. Morrison. Dacia Alexandra Montanu. Michael Kessler Murphy. Jessica Ann Nunley. Jake Charles Nystrom. Rory Brendan O'Hanlon. Tatiana Skylar Olson. Victor Isaac Oppenheimer Rodriguez.
Eduardo Gabriel Pacheco. Concepcion Alonso Pereira Martinez. Benjamin Petrijos. Andrew Ethan Pishner. Isabel Madriz Saki. Theodore Brady Pugh. Wesley Charles Quill. Jack Alexander Rasmussen. Harshini Ravi. Ava Lauren Reimer. Daniel Robert Reinfurt. Catherine Rising Reinke. Alec Hannam Rush. Javen Reyes de Leon. Huyen Ri. Benjamin Marcus Rice. Connor Cadle Riggs. Adam Tarek Riyad. Catherine Carlisle Roberson. Sean Francis Rodock. Gabriel Luis Rodriguez Perez. Arthur John Romps. Bridget Ella Rohrer. Alex G. Ross. Daniel John Rossi. Ansar Fadi Sakeen. Julia Johanna Celine. Anita Ibnea Sanusi. Anna Marie Sawyer. Mia Ray Sawyer. Aldrich Martin Sambera Baracco. William James Sherrard. Presenting his diploma is his mother and George Mason High School teacher, Miss Kristen Sherrard. Minsep Shin. Bhaskar Singhvi. Rachel Elizabeth Skamra. Brendan Paul Hans Smith. Catherine Grace Smith. Joseph Patrick Snitzer. Livy Elizabeth Solis Castillo. Berta Solorzano Moran. Nicole Adriana Soria Saavedra. Luke Adam Spencer. Mackenzie Michael Steves. Lindsay Eleanor Segenga. Samantha Ann Steger. Justine Paige Stallworthy. Erin Nicole Sullivan. Viraj Param Suri. Giselle Diane Terrazas Lopez. Bethany Nicole Thompson. Victor Tran. Jack Sullivan Twyford. Mariana Valencia Tabarez. Helen Vasquez. Akanksha Venkatramanan. Lauren Marie Weaver. Jalen Camilla Marie Williams. Corrine Justine Wills. Avery Elizabeth Wambacher. Cullen Duval Wood. Jarrett Warren Wood. Austin Riley Yoder. Autumn Elizabeth Young. Jacob Jean Zorniak. Lucas Turner Zulo.
Good evening, fellow graduates, friends, family, and teachers. I'd first like to thank friends and family for everything you have done to get us to this moment, and then for sitting through the past hour and a half to watch us walk across the stage, accept a special piece of paper, and symbolically move our tassel. Special thank you to the teachers who endured the senioritis that set in for many of us in September and still showed up today to celebrate us and our achievements. And thank you, class of 2017, for allowing me to serve you for the past 4 years, and for truly helping me to understand that all leaders should use Google Forms to make all of their decisions. Even though we all know it's impossible to please everyone. See, we all have something in common. Tonight, we are all Mustangs. Together, we are acknowledging the culmination of more than a decade of learning and celebrating the end of one journey and the beginning of another. But none of this would have been possible without everyone in this room. As Mustangs, we have wandered. We've explored the bad things and the good, and this has given us many enriching experiences that I know we will use in the future. Some of you know exactly what you're going to be doing in the next few years, and others have no idea what to do. But for all of us, nothing is set in stone. So give yourself the gift of just being. Lose yourself in the moment and promise that whatever shade the sky is gonna be and whatever homework that one professor assigns right before break, you'll learn until every part of you is filled with knowledge. As Mustangs, we were lucky to have this community with its endless support for our education. We were blessed with teachers who love what they're doing and dedicate themselves to sharing that passion with us, their students. Maybe we'll be fortunate enough to have that where we're going, but no matter what, we must savor this last success and remember who and what got us here before we go out and live our very own wild and precious lives. This day is special, and I hope all of us are reveling in every instant. Look back on your time as a Mustang, whether it's 5 years or just a few months, and remember that it has played an irreplaceable role in shaping who you are today. Take your experiences and share them with others, with the world, and dare to excel in mind, body, and character while you're at it. Congratulations, Mustangs of 2017.
On behalf of the faculty of George Mason, the Office of the Superintendent, and the School Board, and with the power vested in me by the Department of Education of the Commonwealth of Virginia, I hereby confer upon you these diplomas in recognition of your fulfillment of the requirements for high school graduation. Dr. Churchill, Dr. Noonan, Ms. Germer, Ms. High, Mr. Webb, Mayor Tarter, faculty of George Mason, parents, relatives, and guests, I present to you the George Mason High School graduated class of 2017. All right. A few closing remarks. Mustangs, I ask you, how can you achieve greatness? George Mason is one of the most prestigious high schools in the nation. Graduates, each of you has achieved a level of success during your high school career. Success is, however, measured through a variety of lenses throughout one's life. We were fortunate enough this year to bring home 2 state titles, a 15-14 victory by our girls lacrosse team en route to their first ever state title. And a 1-0 victory by our Lady Mustang soccer team en route to their 10th straight title. I found it symbolic that both championship games were decided by one goal. The difference between a state champion and a runner-up, who, let's face it, no one really remembers, was decided by a single solitary point. Both teams exhibited a level of hard work and persistence throughout the season, but it was the team who continued to strive for perfection against all odds and never quit who ended up with the title. The difference between good and great, success and failure, can often be by the smallest of margins. It's the subtleties that allows one to achieve success, to reach a level of greatness. It's practicing Lean on Me one more time in the shower, even though you know it's perfect. It's a student who comes in before school, during Mustang Block, and after school to discuss evolution versus creation with Mr. Scharf. It's the individual who spends more time listening to others rather than focusing on herself. She knows it may be impossible to fix every student issue, but refuses to stop trying, as modeled every day by our Director of Counseling, Ms. Amy Kajanowicz. It's trekking into Mason when there is 16 inches of snow on the ground and all your friends are sleeping, but you know working on the 1418 robot for a few more hours will allow you to qualify for nationals. And also support Mr. Ballou, who slept there the last night. As Mustangs, we pride ourselves on being a step above the rest. A commitment to excellence driven by our will to be great defines who we are. As you venture into the next stage of your life, be mindful that the margins of success are often small, and your goals are always within reach as long as you're willing to work hard for them. We began a new tradition at Mason this year. Seniors, for those of you who made it on time every day, which was all of you, right? We played a morning song. I can't think of a better way for us to celebrate today's accomplishment than one last song dedicated to the class of 2017. All right, I'm gonna need your help, graduates. You're gonna stand up, right? And now to close us out, our George Mason Wind Ensemble. Congratulations to the graduating class of 2017.